Okay. How's the sound? Well, it sounds okay to me from the stream preview. There we go. Good morning, Mr. Lion. How you doing? Okie dokie. It's you take the day off streaming, especially when I've got different projects in flight, and I haven't really done much on Liquid Sky over the weekend because I hit some issues and it's just frustrating me. So I took the time to step away. But it means that when you return, things are not always easy to just pick straight back up and get yourself engaged with. But I do have a plan. So I learned a few things over the weekend. I did fix some stuff, but other stuff is broken. But it's not stuff that's going to restrict me from doing what I need to do now. I can focus on that off stream at a later point. So MongoDB has .NET or has Entity Framework core drivers. They only support EF Core 8. I had managed to. Let me finish the thought. I had managed to somehow include a reference to EF Core in one of the directories of the change in one of the projects for the changes when it wasn't necessary. What that meant was it was pulling EF Core 9 in as an implicit reference or as an explicit reference, and then I had them references implicitly, and also in Foundation, I had the shared kernel referencing this. So this means that I really should think about pulling these parts out so that the shared kernel is just data objects or objects or base classes, etc., and nothing to do with frameworks, and then have specific packages for sharing. As the concept within the Foundation libraries, because they are the foundational libraries, not this one specifically, because that's a challenge. But anyway, Kenny, good morning. TV about EA, 13 months fat. Sloths have one of the slowest digestion rates in the animal kingdom. It can take up to 30 days for a single meal to fully digest, but their entire digestion cycle, including processing multiple meals, can take up to 13 months in some cases. That's a kind of crazy fact. But Kenny, thank you very much for all that support. 13 months, or 14 months in total. I truly appreciate it. Sorry, I'm just checking, make sure. So, yeah. So nice. Nice. That's fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Connie. I appreciate it. Okay. So, hey, Tuki Tuki, how you doing? So yeah, I had some references. So the MongoDB libraries for EF Core are not supporting EF9 yet. So I updated all them and everything was broken. And then I finally looked at the implicit references on the projects that I was testing with where it was working, and it was an EF Core 9 problem. So I had to figure out how to get the MongoDB pieces to work without EF Core 9. And they don't even need an EF Core 8 reference because they have an implicit reference to EF Core 8 in there. But it will override if you include 9. So that's that. It's not fully working, but it's not something that's going to prevent the stream from going ahead today. Although I do need to go here. Oh yeah, I need to push that, don't I? That's it's worthwhile just having that call. It will implicitly pull it because of the packages. That's fine. And yeah. So you see there's no in pipelines infrastructure. No need EF call be referenced directly. So yes, that took me way too long to get my head around. The error was not very obvious. I thought I'd checked all those things because I'd removed some references, but it wasn't working. And I basically just had to methodically go through everything bit by bit. So today, what I hope to focus on is getting some extra features in Liquid Sky. It's to the point now where the application is so big that any one piece to work on is going to take significant time to kind of change paths for. So changes is not working properly. It's not failing now, which it was doing before. So I can safely move on, but it's not producing changes in the way I want it to. And that just needs some more testing and refinement. But again, there's that many moving parts in this application at this point that I'm not just going to be able to, turn the boat around. So that is that. Bedroom, g'day. How you doing? So I posted. Okay. Sign in. I think there's errors. Yeah, gotta figure that out. Again, once the application gets to this sort of scale, there's all these little things, and every little change could introduce other problems elsewhere. But if you divert and fix this one, you're constantly trying to put out little fires. The best thing I can do for the application is kind of get the features in that I need to get in there. Not necessarily rushing them in, but trying to focus on their quality being higher, and then doing a pass of testing and refinement that allows me to focus on putting out those little fires while I'm actually focused on putting out fires and not on focused on adding feature sets that will improve my ability to describe what is happening. So the goal for today is to show a list of tasks here. Do I have Liquid Sky up in here? I do not. Let's drag that over there. That over there. All right. So I should be able to click in. No, That's not that. Seeing tasks while adding requirements. When I expand the requirement, existing tasks should show. When I add the task, the list should show the current task with its status. The requirement should show the number of current tasks assigned to that requirement in the expansion panel. Right. So let's go and see. Did I task this out? I think I did last week. Yeah. That one's done. Yeah. Well, that's kind of in progress. Add list of, when expanding the requirement, the list of tasks should be queried for the requirement and display assigned user badge. So I did make some changes. Right. As always, if you have questions, you're more than welcome to ask. I believe what I did, that's actually, it's one of the rare times I'll actually use Git. So because I've been jumping back and forth, branch. No, select. Show tasks against requirement. The latest version of Kafka. So did I not actually get any changes made on this? Okay. I thought I had. I thought I made a change. Oh no, we did it on the client, didn't we? Yes. So if I go here to Nitro, let's open this application, get the access token so we can get the okay. So we have tasks, task by sprint. Let's get task by ID, which is an interesting one. That's not get task by sprint, but okay. So that's task by requirement. Rename by requirement. Oh, interesting. Let's check that again. Let's run that. Okay, there we go. So we have task by requirement. I think we did actually introduce that over here. So the question is, when should we load this list? If memory serves, we don't actually know when this is expanding, because I think I just saw a bug fix come through yesterday. This has just been addressed. See that. Accordion on open non-closed emitter won't trigger any events with the new components for accordion. See. Awesome. So this is the issue that I looked at. So we were trying to figure out when open, what would happen, right? Created a PR for this. Awesome. The code was just missing. Well, that ain't good. Hey, Stoney. How you doing? How are things today? So, was active. If not was active and is active, open. Otherwise, if it was active and is not active, that's for the case where it starts opened. It doesn't trigger when starting open. But this was merged. But when will that actually get put into a release is another question. So my initial thought is we're going to make rapid progress for some reason. Nice. Rapid progress is good. I'm doing good today. I take the day yesterday. So there was no stream yesterday. Yeah, we have no. This event doesn't fire in the current version of the tools. So unless that got put into a minor release and deployed 3 days ago, we are still lacking that behavior. Because initially, I think the plan was to do something like that, where we load it. Planning items, components. That's the planning expansion panel. This is the requirement. Task for requirement here. Can you do wondering if there's some sort of signal or something I can do to say, okay, it's been rendered. Just got FFmpeg to OCR image-based subtitles. Yeah, another tool. I don't need to bundle. Nice. Just got FF. So what does that give you? Image-based subtitles. So rather than a subtitles file that's provided separately, it's actually in the actual content. Angular signal visible. I don't want to toggle visibility. I want to know when it's been made visible. Is it possible to tell me? DVDs and Blu-rays have subtitles that are transparent video stream that gets overlaid on top of the video. FFmpeg itself does not convert image-based subs to text-based subs and vice versa. Gotcha. Gotcha. Sorry. That's odd. That's a big brain stuff. So maybe I'm not doing this. Angular trigger on visible. On after view checked. But that's not the problem. So if we do, so basically, what I'm trying to figure out is it possible to only load these when they are when the panel expands and shows the control? So let's see if that's possible. Angular schematic. because we don't want to continually load all the requirements, right? And all the tasks for all the requirements. We can load the count of the tasks on the requirement. But the actual tasks, I want to be a separate query that says, okay, now go and get the tasks for this requirement. And we can load them in the store so they're not constantly loading, but yeah. Requirement tasks list. I need to decide on how I'm going to name things because this is not exactly stunning. Okay, delete the unit tests. Okay, so okay, after view checked. What is that? So it's not a okay. Console.log. I don't think this is going to do what I want it to do. But let's find out. Console.log. Showing requirement tasks. Okay. And then what we're going to do is here, we're going to do app requirement task list. Let's at least set this so we know what it is. We need an input. It's worrying me that that's grayed out. Extends on implements. I always, I don't know why I always think extends versus implement after view checked. There we go. We're going to do, no, not input. Requirement. Input that required. Requirement. Oh, equals. There you go. Now this is going to need requirement equals requirement. That should work. That's that. Okay. So we expand that. So that fires a lot. So that's after, that's not after just that view in it. And that's still firing, by the way. That's now at 13, and I haven't changed anything else. 14. Yeah, it's still firing. That is not what I want. Yeah. So let's go back to the drawing board a little bit there. So one solution would be to use view children to subscribe to the changes observable query list. Also to avoid, that seems like a really, Considering that's firing all the time on after view init. Well, after view init, not after view checked. This dot change detector ref. So the problem with Angular is that it's evolved that fast in some cases that the actual way of doing things has, especially with signals introduced, they've definitely changed. A lot of things. Handle event. It's like a lot of code that I don't want to write. Watched item. How to run animation after component visible in the viewport. Intersection observer service config. Watched item. Intersection observer service. What? Is that an actual thing? Is that why we're calling it intersection observer service? Or is it we're just being watching on target? Handle events. Intersection observer. Handle event dot bind. Oh. No, it's not hidden art. That's anything from 7 years ago in Angular is not going to be relevant in terms of this. Or if it is, it's likely to have changed a lot. So what I'm trying to determine is, you know, when is it showing on screen? Because basically once it's showing on screen, this would be so much easier if I had on open, on close events, right? Angular trigger on item in viewport. Angular 17. On viewport trigger. What? No. No. Yeah, but I don't know the event, do I? So what would the event be? Well, let's do you think I'd be better at that part. On init. Now, that's that. Now, do we do... Okay, so just guess. Defer. Let's find out what this does for me first. Okay. So we have no initializing. Oh, now we have initializing. Damn it. Oh, that did not do anything. Defer. Blocks, several sub-blocks related to graceful. Ah, okay. So there's a when. Okay, so we can when viewport. Okay. On viewport. On viewport. Okay. Oh, that's a placeholder. With one root element. Do I really need something in there? Yes, I need something in there. Okay, I'm not getting initializing. Not getting initializing. Not getting initializing. Now I get initializing. Now I get initializing. Okay. So that actually is doing what I wanted to do, I think. So when I expand the panel, that becomes visible. So what we do there is, if I'm right, we'd put a loading block here, so that while that's doing its thing, this would be there. Is that quiet chat today? Hope everyone's okay today. Having a good Tuesday so far. So this allows me to pull the requirement. Now, do I want to put tasks on requirements? I'm not entirely sure. Probably should. These things are going away. If I does it, trying to finish with that lot reference thing since I'm going to meet with one of the users later today. Oh, nice. Nice. Cool. Apologies I did not attend your stream yesterday. It was a bit of a different day yesterday. Okay, so tasks is a array of task. Task service. So we have task service, and I added fetch by requirement, right? But we're into that world of we have overlapping responsibilities, and does requirement own task, or is task its own thing? And I just load that list based upon the requirement ID, which I can do. I can get away with that. I don't need to load it onto the requirement, but then where do I put it later on? Because it being in a task store doesn't really help me. Results, I don't have any negative feelings. I appreciate that. It's good to attend though. Sorry, I'm thinking about. I need to remember to talk. My head's spinning on this right a second because what I'm thinking about is uh, developers.stream. Developers.stream, by the way, I did try to get some configuration in there so I could get some of the secret stuff done. So I did make some progress on it yesterday. I did a little bit off stream to kind of prepare for Friday. I was trying to get that workflow in there. I got that hooked up, but then my configuration stuff. I've never used the options pattern for configuration, and I wanted to make sure that that was in there because I think it's a better way of doing it. Being able to change things, because my go-to method of getting configuration is to create an object, bind that object when we start up, and that's it. Use options. You can use a monitor essentially, so you can actually change the configuration in real time, and it will take. So I was trying to do that, but yeah, for some reason it kept telling me I had no options. I was like, no. Okay, so this isn't going to represent what I'm trying to go through exactly, but it is going to give me a little bit of an idea. So right now I have tasks. Tasks are stored here. They're queried from here. I have a requirement identifier that I attach to the task, so I can pull the tasks. Requirements live in here. When I pull a requirement, I do not pull the list of tasks with it. I think the right thing to do here, and this is weird because this is one of the first times I'm actually getting some data let's think about that. So we have the task store, right? And it has query. Load by sprint actually loads these and fetch by sprint results for each. Okay, so it patches them back into the store, right? So I could do something similar where I load the task store and then load them by, I could just mimic this. And actually, I think I call load all, fetch all, load by sprint, load by requirement, right? Load by requirement ID. That's almost identical. Fetch by requirement, right? Observable task. Yeah. Patch state. No, that's that. That's fine. So I could do this, right? That is an option. So that's a way of fetching all the requirements for. Well, actually, that's not even that. That's loading them. And the sprint uses this, so the sprint does different. I've got different data access patterns here that are going to conflict. Arun, hello, how you doing? So in the sprints, right now, because we have the three columns, I use these, right? So I set the sprint ID after I've loaded them, and then I use these to get the actual columns for the tasks. In this case, I don't have. I've got to either return these. Delta, good morning. I'm not bad. I'm not bad. I was got run over by a cab outside my house 5 minutes ago. I feel strongly about not getting run over. Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine you. You do. Well, I'm glad you're okay. Yeah, if they were completely at fault, then at least make a complaint to the company. Reckless driving isn't funny. The irony, though, of you in a cab. So yeah, I have different data access patterns here, which makes this a little bit messier. Because even though the methods look like they're doing the same thing, they can't be doing the same thing. You can't part the. I mean, yeah. Essentially, what I need to do is I need to do something like this, and this resolver here is going to be a requirement, no, a task array, right? And then this resolver here is going to be return. It's not going to be that. It's going to be entities. Oh, well, even let me do that. Store.entities.filter f.requirement id equals id. But I don't think the task has, I don't know, has an associated requirement. God, we got a mess. I think we're getting into the weeds of um, who knows what when and who needs what when. So I can't do this because these tasks. So when I load all, I pull everything. I do pull everything. I do pull everything. I don't pull a requirement. Fetch by requirement. Man. Let me document this a little bit. So we have a task. We have a planning item. We have a requirement, right? A task can be standalone or it can be assigned to a requirement. When we pull the task down from GraphQL, we can assign a requirement. right? But I also want to I want to get a requirement and I want to pull the tasks for that requirement. But I don't want to include all the same requirement information on that query. If I pull that information in here, then I'm just going to pull a lot of duplicate information now, right? Um, so I can do this requirement ID identifier, right? But now, who's responsible for filling the rest of the information out later on, right? Because this would allow me to do this, right? So now I can resolve this with it's possible to define. That's fine. Uh, yeah, we'll do it that way. So it can be null, right? So this works. This will patch the results in from this, and it will not assignable to type void filter. Yeah, we'll worry about that in a second. Um, task, right? That's that. So we can do this, but now it's just this mess of now who's responsible for loading the additional detail against the task for the requirement. Because now if we are pulling tasks that are, you know, being worked upon or whatever, Mojo, morning, um, yeah. So is this a data design issue or just a client, like a dependencies issue on the client? I'm not entirely sure which direction to head in there because requirements have tasks, tasks have requirements, which makes it an incredibly difficult piece to deal with. So I don't know. Task requirements don't have tasks. Tasks have requirements, which is probably the wrong direction in terms of this visualization that I'm dealing with. Like this will work, but again, now when I need to load more information, I don't know what information I have and don't have at any one point, so I always have to load everything, which makes it incredibly messy. So this will work, but again, like I said, now I have two different things that actually behave very differently but look the same, which if you're the reader of this code is going to be very confusing. That's going to make a mess, without a doubt. Let's see if we can get this working. And then what we'll do is we'll tackle that afterwards. Not the greatest thing to do in terms of responsibility, but we'll figure that out afterwards. Okay, on init. So we need to inject a store. So read only store equals inject tasks store. Right. And then um, this dot store dot load by requirement. Actually, we need to do this slightly differently. Is on init going to cover this? I don't think it is. We need to do this slightly differently. Constructor. Oh, that's implements on init. Um, private. So what I'm thinking about is how to trigger this properly. When I we've already established that using the defer in here, this will only be rendered when the viewport is shown, right? But now I don't want to load all this data unnecessarily for each requirement. So I only want to load this data when this shows. Um, I'm still going to get into a little bit of a mess with um, when to um, when to hit the server or not, because right now this is going to hit the server every time I expand a requirement, which is probably not healthy. Well, it's definitely not healthy when I don't need to. So what I'm looking at is shown, which is a signal. Oh, right. Uh, right. And then this dot shown dot update true. Why don't you like that? That reads horrendously, but let's find out what happens. I'm trying to learn. Yeah, so now in here, effect. Uh, if this dot shown, right? That's an interesting one though. No, that's not using signals properly. Um, react to signal change angular. That's not what I want to happen. Really? I don't want to use observable. Feels, yeah, see, set details visible. That's a Boolean one. I mean, that's what I'm doing, right? Essentially, but I'm just doing it on effect. Yeah, effect. So that will change. Okay, if this dot shown, let's validate that. Alert showing, right? So we do this, do that, showing, showing, showing. Okay, showing. If we collapse it, it doesn't fire. Collapse it, doesn't fire. Collapse it, doesn't fire. It doesn't fire when it reopens, which is good. So that means we're not going to continually load it, right? And the content's now rendered into the view, so that's fine. Okay. So I think that achieves roughly what I want. Whether it's the right way or not. Okay. This dot store dot load by requirement. So we have, I've got a feeling there's just a lot of duplication going on here. This dot requirement dot ID. And then I'm going to do public tasks, task array. If tasks for task task track UL, make this look real good, like li. So I'm just going to list the task out. Task dot title. Let's see how we do. Well, first check. I always forget to go in here, but I really should check in here because what I've done is so many times this has gone red. Changes haven't applied. I go in here and I'm like, why is it not working? Right. So no tasks loaded, but it did. There we go. There's our tasks. There's our task. There's our task. And we should see network traffic. We're getting the tasks. So there's our ID. So we're not loading the full requirement information. Now, the problem with that is when we go to here, will we get this is the question. So I don't know. Actually, I don't know which task I just loaded, right? So let's go. We didn't go that one, that one, that one. Verify behavior. Okay, so verify behavior. Again, we're loading just enough of the requirement to get the ID to filter it, which probably isn't terrible, but let's go find verify behavior. Where's verify behavior? Over here. Right? When we click on this now, does that load properly? And it looks like it does because it looks like it goes and loads the full requirement into view. So now that's fine. The other question is if I do it in the opposite way, right? If I go into here, this loads this. And now I go back over here to planning. Go here, here, here. Verify behavior. This will still query it, right? I get the same thing. So the problem with doing this, the way I'm doing it, is that I'm being wasteful. I'm making calls where I don't need to make calls because the requirement was already there on the task. I've now gone and queried the tasks again. But how do I know what tasks are attached? Right. So I think this comes back to, is there a better data design on the client? Right. I don't think I'm using the stores effectively enough to get the most out of them. I'm making too many API calls. Now, this is loaded now. This is great. I can use this data. But yeah, what does it mean? So to do it a little better. But anyway, we can now finally get the tasks in there. Let's have a look. There's probably a prime ng control here. Components, data. It's not an ordered list necessarily. I don't want a list like this. Pick list, no. Timeline, no. Tree, no. It's kind of like a stack panel. Not a list box. Data view. Oh, it is a. That's not a terrible idea. Pages, although I would hope that we don't have, like, for a given requirement. Man, I slept so much yesterday. I think if you getting sleep is obviously important, but I think that's just kind of sometimes your body just needs it. Recharge all the batteries. You feeling better today? Oh, yeah, that ain't good. It's also some rest. I customize items. Oh wow, you can. Ah, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. So this is giving the selector. P select button, list or grid. That's cool. That's yes, that's useful. Yeah. Um, yeah, we want this. It's the same thing. Yes, I'm focusing on the wrong thing here, but that's fine. Um, but we need to get Data view is probably the best one I can do here right this second, but I don't want I don't want big blocks, right? I want something a little cleaner than that. Let's have a look. Let's do data view value products. So we need this. This is tasks. Let's do this. This is going to be one of those again, isn't it? Import data. Okay. Key data view. Yeah, I thought it was. Data view. We'll find out if we need that later. So ng template items. Let's try this. Let's see what happens. Right. Grid no gutter. That's a prime and G star. I'm a geek. Good afternoon. I think I know how to do the chat using prime and G. Nice. That's great. When the examples got copy and paste. How'd you figure that out? Okay, so we're gonna do div class equals border, rounded border. Uh, let's just try this. Item dot title. App user label. Input is name. Name equals item dot assigned user dot name. There we go. Expand that. Expand that. Awesome. Awesome. We're winning, obviously, because, yeah. If item dot assigned user. Actually, let's go before I go too far down there. Let's go to tasks, boards, components, task card, assigned user dot name. There you go. That's how we do it. That is how we do it over there. This is item. Oh, there we go. It renders that one. Okay. Cool. So we're getting there. We're getting there. Okay. Border. I want to use that color blue and have panel or maybe green. Maybe we want to use the green. But a box which has the label, and we're gonna have the status in it anyway, like this inside of that. And yeah, so like a panel box with the label, label. Maybe we do the assign to here or next to the name or over there. Yeah, label, assigned user, and then status at the end. That's what we want. So we need item dot status. Yep, that's it. We'll worry about mapping to readable values later, right? Okay, so that's clearly not going to be a lot of space to play with. Div class equals flex. Div class equals flex 1. Flex flex shrink 0. Div class equals flex. That's almost exactly what I envisioned in terms of the layout. That's awesome. This needs, I don't think that's going to help there. But yeah, that's not going to change anything, is it? Yeah, I introduced Rambling Geek to the Prime and G components last night. I said that you looked at the chat as well and you're like, it's not a native component, or it doesn't look like it's a native component. Does this just work with div? I don't want to put styles in where I don't need to put styles. So that one is clearly required. Okay, so that's fine because that pushes everything else to the right. Okay, so this one I want class. Well, be interested to know how you do that. Obviously, align middle. Obviously, I want to line everything up because that T being there is just going to drive me crazy. Okay. Border. That's not a border. Why are you? Oh, gee. No worries. Border solid. Okay. Either way, I want to do, before I get too carried away on that styling, planning items is the list. We have the status. Expansion panel, no. Status. P tag, star class, capitalize. Okay, so so this is going to be P tag, severity equals, we'll figure that out in a second. Ready for development. Nice. Okay. Be interested to have this conversation. So for anyone wondering, so the comments, what I wanted to do is make this more of a chat. So comments, I don't want comments. Comments aren't helpful, right? What I want is conversations. So comments goes away eventually and becomes conversations, and it would be nice if we could hook into like Slack channels and stuff. So uh so the idea being that if we have a conversation, like requirements can have comment okay. Ultimately, I want to have everything have the ability to have an attached conversation. So even a requirement could have a conversation. A planning item could have a conversation. Attachments, I don't think, but I think requirements can have attachments. Planning items can have attachments, etc. Same thing as meetings, right? Meetings are kind of what I'm trying to do is build the collaboration in this application. So if you are new to the stream, if you do have questions, thoughts, opinions on what I'm doing, please feel free to join in. Um, but the idea of this is useless, right? Because comments don't really give anything, right? So a conversation, oh, we need to discuss this thing. Let's have an actual open chat. Would be a good thing, right? Because then you can track that, you can trace that, especially if we can link it to things like Slack channels, where we could potentially have historical, uh, conversations. Like if you say, "Oh, start new Slack channel," around a planning item, that conversation is then tracked, stored in here as well. And then even if you archive the Slack channel, the conversation is not gone. Um, that would be useful, I think. Um, so you could have a Slack channel that's literally alive for the course of uh, the planning, and then is archived later. Oh, that did middle of line, by the way. Cool. Um, I think that works for now. Let's see what happens when I do this. Well, actually, it won't do anything. That won't do a single thing because there's nothing. This list of items is loaded on the fly. It's not loaded. Oh, no results found. What? Where's no results found? Oh, the data view gives me no results found. Oh. I'm like, what magic is this? Um, don't mind me. I clearly understand how my own software is working, right? There'll be a message. There'll be a message. API loading icon templates page links. Apparently, there's nothing to control that. Loading empty custom message. So, ng template empty. Uh, No results found. That should be empty, right? ng template. That's kind of what that is. That control is. Templates, list item, grid item, empty, custom empty message template. Empty message. Okay, let's just do that then. It's an empty message. No tasks. Uh, so what I'm saying though is basically as much as like this add task button does, right? We show the dialog on complete, we don't reload this. So again, we go down this path of what is the right way for data access? And I feel that no matter what I do here, I just keep tacking on the incorrect way of doing it just to solve the current problem. I'm not really looking at it from a design perspective. I'm looking at it from a I've got to solve a problem perspective, and it's leaving me with this uneasy feeling of there's got to be a better way. So my instinct here is to basically put an event on here, right, that will also do this. So if we do private load tasks for current requirement, and then this is private async this, and we do this, we do wait this dot load task for requirement, and that's there. That should still function, right? So that's loading. When we add this task now, right, what do we do, right? So what we've got in here is you have a button. Now this is starting to feel componenty, right? Where this starts to feel like a useful component where we have a list of tasks with an add task button, and this behavior start kind of shifts. However, I'm not going to try and tackle that right in a second. But I need what's this going to load? This is going to show with the requirement ID. Oof. Yeah, so the reason this is done this way is because there's only one of these dialogues in the entire page, right? There's not, he says that. Item dot requirements, for requirements. There's one per planning item, right? So again, correct layout, I don't know. Correct design of Angular, I don't know. I'm trying to get my head around some of this stuff, right? So the problem being here, right? I have this panel expands. This panel contains the dialogue that pops up when I hit this. But then so does this panel, so does this, right? So, but how do I get them? Should I create one of them per page and then reference them from somewhere? How do I create those global references or whatever? So that's another thing to think about in Angular for me. However, when I bring this up, I have a requirement ID that I'm attaching it to because I've just added it with that. when it closes, I do not know which of these lists I'm trying to update because I could have 15 of these expanded into a page. So how do I know which one it's for? Right. I don't know that this links to this specific object. Um, unless I have a task added signal and all the active ones will be listening for that task added and their effect will check to see if the task added so for that to work this would have to emit an event, right? um this would have to emit an event. Let me find one that doesn't emit. Output on open, on closed. Right, so we have output on task added equals new event emitter task. So then we do save, then this to hide. So then we do this dot emit, this dot on task added dot emit. Gonna lay back down. Catch y'all later. Take care, Mojo. Feel better, dude. Task. Then we emit that task there. Right. So now over here, we can do on task added equals. So this would be the response to this. However, this is what to do when this happens. But how do I get this back to here? I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out. So, um, uh, let me do it this way. Public listener import use event emitters with signals. Emit No. Signal string. Then to create the action signal, we have to declare it with an initial value and modify it once. So what I'm wondering is, can I do this, right? So can I do um, task, right? Equals dot. It's not that, is it? Oh, TBD, I'm writing your initials everywhere in my code. Is that creepy? It's scary how um obviously I see that, sorry, all over the place. And every time I hear it, I'm like, yeah. Input signal. I don't think this is what I want, but we're gonna try it. Signal. Why don't you like that? Oh, no. Right. So I think oh no. If this shown and this requirement, um, if this dot listener and hello Gilgamesh, sorry, are not equal to null, and this dot listener dot requirement dot ID equals requirement dot ID alert task change for requirement. Okay, so let's see. Let's see what happens. Lot reference add range to value equals TBD. Yeah. Scary when you're going through a list of work and assigning people. And you're like, okay, well, that's TBD, that's TBD, that's TBD. Okay, so we can do, let's do this. If this requirement, let's remove that so we can get rid of that. Tell me about it. Now, what I'm trying to do here is, so now listener, so this public task added listener equals signal task null null. This is an experiment, by the way. This is very much an experiment. What I'm trying to see if I can do is say, okay, well, a task was added. Now signal that a task was added by telling whoever's got a reference to this signal, here's what happened. Now, There's probably patterns inside of Angular to do this. The framework probably supports this somewhere, but I don't know how right this second. So sometimes you've got to do something to understand the better way when you see it. Okay, so what we're going to do on add task dialog on task added equals update task added, and that's going to be task task task. I believe that will work. Oh, you want event, don't you? Event is the keyword there. And then we're going to do this dot task added listener dot update task. Huh? Argument of type task is not assignable to parameter of type task or no. Do I have task differently? Uh, um, Avocado Violet, thank you very much for the raid. Welcome in. Hope you are well. How was your stream? No, Loki, no, 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 no. Oh, hello, buddy. Hello, buddy. Up in Sarangi, hello. How you doing? Sorry, my dog is coming to see me. Radio was great. The stream was great. Good. Sorry, Loki. I know, bud. I know. Sorry, Loki's one of my dogs. He's just coming to say hello. You are not climbing up on me today. No, 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 bud. Go lay down. I know. Come on. What were you working on today? Sorry. Sorry if I'm slightly distracted. Loki is a 50-pound dog who wants to be a lap dog. Hello, bud. I know. I know. Come on, lay down. Uh, I am making so. Welcome in, readers. Sorry for the slightly distracted introduction. I am a .NET and Angular developer right this second, and I am working on building an application for project management and planning. If my tab, so this is Liquid Sky as it's called right now. It is a tool that I am building because I have some strong opinions on how requirements and tasks are gathered for developers to work upon. So I have been working on this for about 14 months, and this is the actual current version, the running version of it that we are using to build the application. So we actually are using the application to plan the application. Actually, I'm working on that right this second. So, yeah. I've been a developer for over 20 years, and I love learning technology. I love tinkering with different things. Um, so this is an application that is using a lot of different technology, a lot of different. There's a lot of distributed computing going on here. There's a lot of Kafka, Service Bus, GraphQL. Got some API gateways, different client technology. There's also a backend that's being built out to support this. It is at this point quite a large application. So yeah, but the reason I stream is to share the application development, the pains, the pros, the cons of building something so large. I'm always open to um, thoughts and opinions. Why using distributed systems for it? So a little bit because um, um, a little bit because it is a style that I wanted to experiment with and get some experience in because I've seen what happens when we kind of rush some of these things. So I wanted to take my time, learn a little bit more, grow a little bit more in this direction. But also because I don't believe on an application of the things that I'm trying to achieve, building a monolith first would have been um, foolish. Um, and I felt that it would benefit from the scale of using a distributed system. So the intent is to release this at some point. It is not open source. That being said, I do open source some of the components, some of the Kafka libraries I've built, some of those, the things that support the underpinnings. I'm always happy to talk about it and show it and share the code. There's also a Discord. If anyone wants to join the Discord, you're more than welcome. Where I'm happy to go over this stuff, talk through it, and share um, any thoughts or conversation around the technology specifically. Mars, good morning. It has been a minute. You okay? I saw your picture. I did my master's in distributed systems, but don't remember much. Wow, that's cool. I have not done any schooling for this, so this is all just experience and trying to pick things up as I go, learning the pain points. You know, there's a lot of things when you get to eventual consistency and the idempotency of the objects, etc. So the view over here. So when we support, you know, the client writes something to an API. That API stores that data first. So these are individual APIs with individual databases. They store that data and produce it to Kafka. Kafka. So I'm using Kafka as a state transfer, right, rather than any sort of actual eventing. It's all integration events. That data then gets fed into the view, and obviously the view could be processing queues in different orders or could have a queue backed up, right? So it produces all the data there. It's been one of those months. The truck's at the shop to get fixed, and I got a crappy little SUV as a rental. Oof. Well, as long as you're safe, that's what matters most. Distributed systems equals job security. High school. Um, to some extent, I think. I think the because again, it's a complicated system, right? It's not a system that um, anyone's just going to pick up and run with. But I feel that once the patterns are laid down, and that's a big thing I have, is I try to be consistent in the patterns, right? So that every little component behaves the same way overall. So once you're used to the pattern, moving between the components should be the same. So you know, there's endpoints, the endpoints for the API, there's the application, the domain, the infrastructure. All these are the same thing over and over. If the thing receives events, so I have consumers and receivers. Receivers are a thin wrapper around Kafka consumers, but I also have RabbitMQ and mass transit. So when I am eventing and when I actually do want to produce events across the system, I can still do that. I'm separating the technologies. I know that I could use Kafka as a transport of mass transit, but I consider them to be different. Um, I'm using the technologies differently, therefore I'll keep them separate. Later on, I can evaluate that. But so I have these receivers. These receive the integration events and go off and do their thing. The consumers for RabbitMQ, right, have different behaviors. So yeah. So some of this is a technology playground as such. It gets me to learn new things. I've learned a lot along the way here. And yeah, and the stream is all about that. So if you have questions, you want to talk more about it, you want to ask more detail, always happy to. And what were you streaming today, Violet? Have I seen you stream before? Leak code. Oh, nice. Nice. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Having fun with that? Argument of type task is not assignable to parameter of type. A task null. Is that going to be because of that? TypeScript? Yes, it is, because that can be null. Okay. Or not. You could say that. I'm not a big fan of doing leak code, um, purely because um, it's because of that, right? It's going to do that, isn't it? Hmm. Um, I really want to build my own app. You got ideas there? So I'm seeking inspiration from you and other streamers who are doing that. Ah, okay. So there's actually two apps I work on the stream, right? Um, so the first app is Liquid Sky. This is my main focus. This has been my main focus for about 14 months. This will come over all the projects because it's something that I really am dedicated to trying to get to. And by the summer, what I want to do is I want to have an app produced that people can work with and see where it goes. As one line kindly shares there. I'm also working on a project called Liquid Sky, Developers.stream. Now, this is open source. I work on this on Mondays and Fridays. It currently looks like this, but the intent is to build a platform, and it is, I do have the domain developers.stream. This is what it currently looks like. But the intent is to build um, no worries. Um, build a platform that will help support developers who stream. So from a discoverability perspective, from a shout outs perspective. So if you have someone that comes into your stream and they are a streamer, if you have a bot hooked up, you can have your bot kind of query developers.stream and say, okay, are they a streamer? Yes, they are. What's the message that they have about themselves? What technologies do they use? And you can decide, whether you want to throw out a message there. So this is being built out right this second. Mondays and Fridays, I work on this. And we just got Twitch integration working for logging in. And then we're going to get the ability to. So basically, the idea will be you go to the site, you log in, whether you want to use Twitch or whatever to sign in with, but then you link your stream. And it's just the name of the stream so you can capture that. So we can verify that you are a streamer on that platform. So it's completely sign up only. That we're not going to go scraping for people, but the idea would be to help support the community of developers who do stream and promote different technologies and stuff. So in your quest for finding other developers who might inspire you to build your app or how you want to build your app, um, having a greater a network that where I can discover you. Because I'm watching streams, etc. So yeah, so that's the other project we work on stream, and that will be Mondays and Fridays, and that is going to be open source. I'm just trying to get the groundwork in there for right this second. The type. So why do I have to pass that? That's annoying, because that's not. That's why does that work? No worries. Thank you very much, Avocado. Thank you very much for the raid and for hanging out and the follow. I appreciate you. Have a great rest of your day. So why? That's driving me crazy because then, so I can't set up a signal. So how does that work then? That's not a valid signal. That seems messy. And that seems... provides no signature match for task. What? Oh, it's not update, is it? It's set task. There we go. It's not update, it's set. Okay, so let's see if we can do this. Let's see if this works. So we go in here. Let's find one with the requirements. We go here. No, we go here. Let's go here. Yeah. Add a task. This is a task being added. Adding a task to the thing on the screen. Did I wire up all the things though? That's the problem. So we have the requirements. We have this. We did that. We did this. This listener is not equal to null. So my problem there is so that would be set true. That's the right way to do that, right? So the task is there, that loaded, that got saved, etc. So we didn't lose anything there. But where do I want to put this? Task change for requirement. So that's clearly still working, right? So this piece here is working. He says, unless I'm loading 8 million different, no, right? So, and I'll just move this off screen so I can test it. But basically, when I expand the requirement, it will load the tasks, right? So that is doing that on expansion of that panel. Right? When it first shows the panel, it's loading those in. This just continues to feed into this like larger problem of reactivity in the application is essential, and I'm going to have to look into how am I going to push data down from the server. How do I want to make sure that the client is being updated by all the relevant things? I can't make it, oh, something changed, here's all your data. That's not effective. I also can't change, hey, I'm subscribed to all this data, give me all the data, right? So what do I do, right? Do I am I smart about it so when I go into the planning item screen, nothing's subscribed to, so if anything changes, it doesn't matter. If I expand a panel, am I now subscribed to that thing, so that if it does change while I'm looking at it, it pushes down to me? But now when I collapse the panel, right, is the next thing when I expand it to go and say, hey server, what's the last update date on this object? Has it changed? Yes, let's reload it, right? So then we kind of trigger that. So strategies for how to be effective about data collection and server queries is going to be a major effort. But it's something I'm gonna have to do, right? I'm gonna have to think through that. However, right now the challenge is how do I do this? Um, so task added listener dot set. Oh, you know what? I didn't wire it up. I didn't do anything. So I have the on update task, but I don't do it in here. So I need to make sure that that's exposed somehow, right? So public listener. Why is that not attached? Task added listener. Right, that's what I want to do. But that doesn't automatically make it a input. So actually, I can just make this a signal task, right? Because set the listener to task added listener. Does this actually do anything? Again, I'm not sure about this design. I'm not sure about reactive extensions entirely, so we'll find out. Validating something. This is either going to pop up a dialogue or do absolutely nothing. Meh. Is it some generic component? No, it is not. And I think I'm creating memory issues here, either through keep refreshing or whatnot. But so the requirements task list is kind of a component, right? But this dialogue appears for all the tasks, all the requirements. So they don't have a one-to-one. So when I add the task, what I want to do is say, okay, we'll set the listener value. And then this has listener seems like a very abstract attribute name. Right. But I'm trying to figure out the pattern. I can worry about naming after the fact. If I don't understand the moving pieces. So if I use the words that I'm thinking about now, it will help me understand the problem. And I can reflect back on, okay, what is it actually doing once I figure out the solution? If I start worrying about what's it called now, I could actually influence my own design because I'm too worried about what it's called by looking up the wrong things or whatever. Or, yeah. I'm trying to achieve notifying this component that something changed, and it should ask, is it the thing that it's looking at that it cares? So I'm trying to indicate to this thing that something changed, and it should check to see if it needs to load itself again, right? So basically, I'm saying, okay, well, if I need to load, then this dot load, right? So yeah. Hey Zons, how you doing? Yeah, this is Liquid Sky. Hope you're all well. Yeah, Angular. Yes, it's rendered in some side in some bigger component. Yeah, yeah, Angular front end. The trigger is I've added a requirement. I've added a task, right? So I'm going in here. I'm expanding the panel. I'm saying, okay, add a task, right? Now, when I loaded this view up, right, it has the idea would be that this has this listener attached to it. So now if I change, they're all subscribing to, they're all actually, the reference to the listener is the listener from the actual requirements component. It's one listener that they're all being attached to, right? Um, when I click the add, I trigger an event. I emit a event from the dialog to say, "Yep, a task was added. Here's the task that was added," and then the idea would be that I set the listener. So let's make sure that's working first. Yeah, Angular front end because it's the thing I'm most familiar with. Um, so sample task. Well, the emitter does, but I'm not using the event. I suppose I could subscribe to the event. I could just make the event emitter and get rid of signals entirely. I thought that was supposed to, but I'm watching for the signal changing. So, um, this again, there's that many different patterns and different designs inside of these frameworks that it just becomes a difficult problem, right? This is a task. It's going to be assigned to a requirement. Okay. Well, that's what I'm trying to determine, right? So I got my task. This is the task I just added. It's got requirement ID, right? And now if we go to, let's see if we can find the actual requirements task list, right? So again, what I'm looking for here is that when I hit that, this hits, but it doesn't hit, right? Because we set this value. We're not subscribing to that change. But I thought the effect would trigger it, and it's not doing. So that's what the problem is. So the effect is not doing what I thought it should do. I don't think it is a cross component. Well, the idea of signals is that anything that's listening to them can be affected, right? That's how I get the updates to work, but I don't think that's the right design. I think the right design here is a little bit different. Um, well, it's not an output from the event emitter. Right? If I go here, you see there's an emitter. That is an output. So on task added, that is an emitted event, right? This would not be an output. It's a thing I want to say, hey, by the way, just trigger. So you should be monitoring this. And if it changes, then test its value to see if it's actually the value you care about. Because if I've got 15 requirements open on the screen, there'll be 15 of these requirements task lists in the page. They'll all have access. The idea would be that they all have access to that single signal that when it triggers, they all say, okay, what's the value of you currently? And if the value matches that component's ID, the requirement ID that that component is attached to, it will then reload its data. So they'll all assess it, but only one of them will load data again. That was the intent. But I'll have to play a little bit more with that. It could be the structuring. It could be that I need to refactor some of this design a little bit. That can trigger it in different ways. Um, as is with all these technologies, there's so many different ways of going at this that it's um, always interesting. And Zon's, yeah, Angular front end, but the idea obviously is I always build applications in a way that I really don't care about the front end necessarily. They can be rebuilt later, especially with using GraphQL for query. It gives me a lot more flexibility for considering other front ends in the future. Bit difficult to help when I'm viewing files only on stream. I know. I appreciate the effort, Redrum. I really do. It's always going to be a hard problem to explain. Um, but and like I've said many times, if So my intent is to make this an application that I release, right? I want it to be a tool that helps people. If at any point I decide that this is not something I can continue and I want to, whatever, then this will all get open sourced. When you open a dialog window, do you have reference to it? Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, to that question, I could actually hook this into um, that event, so I could know the task dialog when it closes that I should listen to it. But I was trying to see if I could use signals to learn how to use signals better. Um, uh, yeah, requirements task list is the. I open the dialog in requirements. Yeah, the dialog is attached to requirements, so there's actually one. I don't even want that. I want one dialog for the entire page rather than having one dialog for that and feed, because I feed it in the information it needs. However, I have to run. It is 9:10. I have work to get ready for. We're going to raid over to Fritz. Fritz is just starting his stream, but it looks like he's doing something with .NET Aspire today, so it's very appropriate. Don't forget, if you like .NET content, One Lion is another .NET developer. Appreciate it, Redrum. And don't forget, there's the Discord if you are, if you want to chat more about that. Yeah, One Line is a .NET developer. Works on his work stuff on stream. It's if you enjoy .NET content, if you like looking at different technologies than the ones you see on this stream, you're more than welcome. There's a card in the screen below. But anyway, I have to run, so we're gonna raid Fritz. Fritz is just starting up his stream, but he's looking like he's gonna do some .NET Aspire stuff today. So let's go over there and hang out. And I will be back tomorrow with more of this. And thank you for joining me. Thank you for the effort. Thank you for the raid, Violet. I know you're not around, but I want to say thanks once more. And I will see you all again soon. Take care, all. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.